They're just going back on current location to discuss a few topics. Inevitably, as far as sustaining life here, and financing. So if we don't receive payment, we keep earning. And we need to eliminate challenges with people that keep attempting to embezzle our earnings, that they're not even business partners with us. So Paul Graham is one of our older brothers that knew we existed, and he allegedly has a wife whose first name is Jessica, and she's not me. And Y Combinator is me and my husband. They may have launched that when they assisted what displaced me here, correct? I wasn't certain how Paul could be involved and not know what's going on. So unfortunately, we would never accuse. I don't think Paul is the problem, but for the rest of our brothers, that we never officially launched that. And Paul Graham was who acknowledged the first song I wrote. That's the best way to say that. And I don't want to, we definitely would never fund Black Lives Matter, right? Silicon Valley, where Fletch is at, what is going on? Yeah. Fletch, I'm sorry to have to say, I'm not speaking for him, but he wouldn't even support that, correct? So these are terrorist groups, and we're very upset, and the best choice I can make is to keep earning and saving and staying focused on me and my husband's goals. So minimizing time around strangers is important, but unfortunately there's not just one demographic, there's a class of people, if that's the best way to say that. But, so they're Black, white, Asian, they think they racially identify that way, that's all they know. But and corrupt politicians proclaim dysfunction and a third party agreement. That's supposed to say that. So if I could ask and say, I would really just want a job where I can just like a 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. where I'm not opening and not closing, and I really have no responsibility other than job descriptions. So, for example, if I needed to stock shelves, but I'm out on the floor, not in the basement, not like if someone prepares a pile and leaves a list of instructions and shows me, unless it's a predictable everyday kind of routine. I don't know where that could exist, but that is all that I would be able to participate in. Because people will arrive from outside and from, unfortunately, so, so the banks are not good, and that's the other issue. I don't know if Dad has been able. I don't know. We can't discuss classified and confidential. Confidential is a little bit different than classified, but. We had tried to look up, if important to mention, checking accounts that don't require certain specifications or criteria. And we've been fine to consider a cash box and to just leave the cash there. And I would check with my husband and just really figure out the dollar to the penny and how much cash. I don't know that we really want to need carrying around the cash. But in certain instances, usually through the hours when people are resting, and then early morning, commencing, starting the day is when there's the beginning and the conclusion are well, throughout like 3 times a day, there could be an instance where there's the beginning, the conclusion, and the solution, right? So how we're sustaining and the time management and prioritization of en route from one location to the next. And unfortunately, we don't really know that we found a solution, right? Because there are people that will go into the stores after hours, and this is like an even bigger problem. The grocery store down the street is listed as closed, but it's not closed, which almost is like they rely on being able, there's some sort of mob in there. And we don't want to call them a mob or anything like that, because a mob is actually in some way disrespectful. Right? So there's some sort of group of heathens, imbeciles, like really immature people that have been recruited. So they're not even really the ringleader, but they I wouldn't even say they're really technical skill sets, but they just, like, for whatever reason, they shouldn't have ever been hired, and now finding a legal reason to get rid of them. So we cannot ever, which is why we have used the vocabulary word mentorship, but we really mean apprenticeship and a trade school. And as far as like our family planning, this is why we are extensively considering so many factors, because we don't want oversight or negligence to be a disservice to our children and our family. And we are extremely concerned with the rate, frequency, the capacity. So we really, really, really try to optimize the safe space and needing the direct accountability. There are crucial moments when there's ebbs and flows. So if that's possible and won't be too disruptive, but to anticipate if this is not working out, but I am really hopeful that for at least 6 months, that this could, I mean, if we're here for 12 months, then this needs to work for 12 months. But at 6 months, if there was a shift and maybe I got another job, yeah, that would be extremely helpful. Only if that works for the potential employer. Right? So we don't know if, speaking hypothetically, but projections, right, for the short term, long term, I would want to save and stockpile. And I don't know that the dredging, that place needs to stay like that. So, and then towards Center City, there are a few other places that I just don't know. I would wonder if it seems that people travel from all over to get the location here. So I don't know what we would expect for our land that way. And if we would just keep that as, I don't know, because I don't know that we would stay here permanently. So the metropolis of this place is world renowned for many, many reasons. So I don't know, Amy comes to mind. Our parental group comes to mind for us because we kind of need this place to thrive. But we can't have certain outliers. Although sometimes people need the lack of legitimacy of space. So I don't know what the solution is just yet. I don't know if this kind of continues to remain this way and people that are displaced are no longer displaced and figure out how they optimize this. But for us, this has been absolutely horrible. So that's where the complexity of why do some of our family members choose to be here? But I suppose we're kind of in that situation now where, what I mean to say, ask, how are they free from being drugged? So we can't risk that. So we were stockpiling certain items that had a certain, if okay to mention, shelf life. And we're really looking to stay within a certain budget. So we don't have access to our Instapot, but we would typically, if okay to mention, that was me, correct? But when I think of the timeline, there's no way that could have been possible for that long, where we realized when we had a certain amount, where we realized optimizing, saving, like lots of cash. The rental was less than $2 a bed. And nutrition, our sustenance, although like abdominal distension and voiding was problematic. So we knew that was like temporary, but we couldn't forego the natural, not additives, but that's what vitamins and minerals are. So we couldn't forego that. And then our expense was olive oil. And then the deviation from that was on occasion we would get bacon, regular bacon, and then we would save the cook-off, and if we had a corn tortilla, a white corn tortilla, we weren't opposed to yellow or white corn. Cook that and cook-off the grease from the bacon, and those were like our snacks. But they put acid in. They did something. They put something abrasive in. So. And they did something to our reusable water bottle where there was an odor and a flavor of baby food. So I was never sharing a room, but that's not a problem, right? If that's that, but if that was something else, that is a serious problem. People were breaking in all the time to the room, so I don't know if unfortunately, we really hope that Fletch's wife, I guess we're saying, is not the problem, but she may have had too many bad experiences where she kind of just was too incapacitated and exhausted and medicinally, where I don't know if maybe she was confused about where she was at, but we would never ever remove shelter. We would never kick her out. We would definitely contact Fletch though and say, you need to get her. But that was the issue with being able to communicate effectively. I can't see myself. It's not funny at all. It's really serious. So there's 2 or 3 infants. I don't know if they're twins or triplets. But I don't know if there's a triplet group with a set of twins and singleton. But they're stained. They're not. So that's a completely different topic. But I don't know how she got to those locations. And there is a University City District employee, and I'm sorry, I'm not volunteering him, but we need to know what's going on. But I wonder if this is best to just let mom deal with this. I'm very upset, and I don't want to make assumptions. And when people are dressed in a uniform, sometimes there's a certain credibility, street credibility associated with a certain aesthetic. And I'm just, unfortunately, I think that there's a serenity of a genuine temperament, but I don't know that that carries weight when there's the risk of being shunned or outcasted. And I'm very upset and I'm very sad. So we have standards in our family, and this is not, as far as the boys that were in the stroller, this is the boy that was out and about on his feet and hair care and all that. I know I'm indisposed right now, but if they're stained, we don't, because of Fletch, how Fletch looks and their mom looks, their hair should. So this is like beyond offensive in many ways. So I don't know. They may not want their hair touched, you know, they may not want to use a brush or a comb or anything, which is, I know I don't really comb my hair sometimes, but they have allergies and there's dander, it might be too much to comb their hair. So, and that might be a possibility, but I don't, the mom should know what's going on and if they need to like moisturize their hair, condition their hair. I'm trying to understand what's going on with her, because if she knows that they're Fletches, then she has to know that they shouldn't look like that. So I don't know if that might be what's creating challenges, whereas she's maybe never heard of fetuses that hibernate. So I don't know. And people discredited her for so long. But then I don't know if they're trying to fuse a narrative that's not true. So I don't know how involved Fletch was with her life, where he could reprimand her. I think he had the capacity to be that close, like emotionally intimate, close with her, but chose not to because he couldn't commit fully because he would be too exhausted by the dysfunction that consumed her life, which was mainly. I think I wonder if Lynch is, I'm not speaking for him, but I think he's apathetic and sympathetic to how devastating and tragic this is. But I think he also is a little selfish in the ways that any person that really loves someone would just kind of give up. Right? Some people say, well, if you love someone, you shouldn't give up. No, when people really love each other and they're devastated, they find a way to like pace themselves in their lives. I'm not trying to justify or create excuses. that just don't know that he was so focused in his own life, and then there was that. So subliminally or subconsciously, I don't know if mom was maybe the best historian for Fletch's behavior. If she knew what was going on in his life, and there was a marked difference and change. But my interpretation of how he tried to connect with her, almost as if I was a complete stranger to him, was humble. So humble, doesn't waste time, doesn't play games, and that was the part that I think broke him every time. So he just didn't have the patience for that which seems so simple, but almost like still waters run deep. I just don't think he could handle that, but then he's not secretive, stealth mode, elusive, but kind of. So, and then I don't know if he was recreationally using certain kinds of drugs like cocaine or whatever, then that kind of just, I don't know, that's a completely different lifestyle. I wouldn't be able to understand how he could be so one moment disconnected because the boundaries and confines of that kind of hierarchy just like disqualify him from, like he could be completely inebriated and then almost like those fleeting moments just never even existed. And that was the only time that I interpreted that he was connecting, like being vulnerable, which means what's the motive and the basis? Is that real or is that fake? And I had interpreted the story, the narrative of Jesse's experience with him to be that way, whereas like that wasn't enough, you know, but I don't know that she took a pregnancy test, and I get the impression that she had taken a pregnancy test and was not feeling. So I think she kind of knew that something, well, they tried to criticize and accuse her of magical thinking, so I don't think she was crazy. Like, because she didn't have any proof of what was going on. But I would interpret, I don't know that her situation, I don't know. I wonder if that was like the segue of her narrative and then they tried to throw me in her place. But then I don't know if she's part of the reason I'm in the situation or if it was a fake mod. So we understand the best that we're able to that being stunned is of a parameter, the real appreciation of that, how that deviates people as far as what the mundane is or isn't of a typical day, how they interact, how they take care of themselves. We interpret that her life was just completely dysfunctional, and we don't see Frankie as really being that much more functional either. So we try to understand what does your life have meaning, purpose, and significance? What do you? We say that with the we ask with the utmost respect. What's going on with your life? Like, what are your goals? It's really kind of like a very horrible way to be existing. And this always goes back to this future. Not something else that comes from my brother, or our brother, but the fate. So, the ability to test was a strength, but some people they're not pushovers. There was a lack of fairness, no accountability, and when the girls were younger, they couldn't help watching, and then my brothers,
You want the cassette?
so then to realize and process. Because they're academics, I think they both knew they were really smart. They never something. And I think Fletch was and that may have been that for Frankie. And then I think they wanted to connect with